Hey, what is up guys, this is your boy Toy here. This will be a video on something that I've been putting off for a long time. Now, do keep in mind, this is my opinion, but I will be showing you guys 5 heroes that I like as a starter DPS, and I will be starting to explain why I actually picked these heroes. Let's get it popping. I'm looking for a character that can do all content so that I don't have to invest into many characters along the way. So let's check out which contents that you want to get as soon as possible. First off, we have Tower of Challenge. However, I put this one on a very lower bracket because the resources that you get from here is only once a month and you don't get it that often. So for the people who don't know, you got about 80 floors that you gotta beat, and here you can get yourself some unique weapons random, unique treasure fragments, and all good stuff in terms of resources. So after you've completed chapter 6, and if you have completed the story mode, then you can do the Trial of the God King. This one is probably the most important one because here's where you can get your soul weapons, and if you haven't seen it yet, soul weapons is what's currently really game breaking. So having yourself a character that does either one of these 3 doors, amazing. After clearing chapter 9, there's another one which is highly valuable and highly recommend to clear as high and as fast as possible, which is Shockman. Now you start out Shockman with 100 helmets. Now if you can then get either 4 in, 5 in, or even higher, then you can get yourself a nice amount of unique weapons, unique treasures. I would honestly, for a newer player, not even recommend going for the otherworldly fragment. But with the resources that you can get from here, you can exponentially increase your account. Coming up at the Orville Castle is the Underground Royal Labyrinth. Now I find it really debatable to find ourselves characters that can do all of them, but I got a few. Last but not least, included into chapter 6 clearing would be Eclipse. Now if you can clear this, obviously increasing and enhancing your soul weapon is very easy. So the higher waves that you can get, the better your progression will be ultimately. Alright, so the list consists of TOC, Lab, Tri-Shock, and Eclipse. There's not PvP and World Boss included, but I'll get to that in a little bit. First off, we got ourselves Panzeroni, and I believe her to be one of the most broken early game heroes in the building. A thing I haven't verified if she can solo Lab. I know she's bad at Eclipse because her cooldowns are way too high. Second on the list, Kersey. Now after her recent buff, she became an absolute goddess. She's free. She actually took over Teo's spot in several cases, may it be World Boss and anything else. The only thing that I haven't seen her do yet, because there are not many players who do it, is Eclipse. But since her S3 has a high cooldown, I'm still debating whether she could do it or not. However, in all of the rest of the content, she is amazing. Third on the list, personal bias, Chase in the building. Now he is that one character that got me through every content in the game, so I'm super biased with this. He's good at PvP, he can do World Boss. The only thing that he doesn't do yet is Eclipse. Now if the newer changes then remove the healing rate reduction, he will be able to do everything. So why did you not pick Kazuo? Because Kazuo is the protagonist. He is the Goku of the story. Nobody likes Goku. Hell no. Fourth on the list is Zara, and Zara is one of those characters that I believe can do everything, and that is Eclipse included. Now I've sped run her, and what I found is that she needs a little bit more investment than the other characters, but if you do get her rolling, then she is an absolute monster. And when it comes to Shockman, out of these 5, she is probably the best there. Last one on the list is Lorraine. Now Lorraine also has been included into my speedrun guides, and she was an absolute monster when it comes to damage. She can see sea dragons. Early game she will be so lenient toward newer players that it's just insane. I don't know any other words to put it. So she can also do Eclipse. From what I've heard, she is able to do up to wave 80, which was super surprising. Now do keep in mind that she got recently buffed, which also means that she became overpowered in PvP, so there is still a chance that she may get nerfed in the future. This is not all, guys. What I will show you is how to build these characters, what teams to pick at the start of the game, and characters that you would have to look for if you want to do several of the contents too. For Pansy's early game team, I will go for Rahardna, Claus, and Frey. Because Panzerone's cooldowns are really high, that's where Panzeron comes in to lower those cooldowns. Freya is there for the crit amping on her unique weapon and her priest perk, which will then give you 450 crit rate extra. The other heroes that I would recommend are Audie, which is also a cooldown reducer, and Nett, that will help her through the trial of Sky. And for the last two characters, Evan and Requena will probably be the best if you want to aim for Shockman. I know this list doesn't include the normal Mei getup, but I think it's safe to assume that everybody on a physical team should be getting Mei, should be getting Yuno as well. As for her unique treasures, what I like to get from the start is UT1 for a reason. It is the best one for the trial of Sky. However, on story mode, UT4 is better because of the cooldown reduction and the crit damage increase. As for the gear lines, what I would get is attack, crit damage, and penetration. Reason for that, she does the most damage whenever she does her skills. Therefore, attack speed, I'm not that much of a fan of it. And for the next part, I'm gonna say something strange because I'm actually gonna combine Kersey, Lorraine, and Zara into a whole roster. Now, if I would pick Kersey in the middle of this, the early game team would be Annette, Naraxis, Lorraine, and then Kersey. The reason why I'm picking this is a synergy, and that is Kersey will help Lorraine's stunning rate, and vice versa, Lorraine will help increasing damage on a boss. And ultimately, picking these characters into a Shockman team is very useful. However, instead of going for Lorraine, you could also be going for Zara instead. In terms of UTs, UT3 is the best damaging one. UT2, however, gives attack speed and penetration to your whole team. In terms of gear, I would just go for attack, crit damage, and attack speed. For Zara, I would pick UT1. It stuns, does a lot of extra damage, so ultimately would be one of the best ones. For gear, exactly the same as for Zara, however, penetration also works against bosses. For Lorraine, I would prefer UT4, amps up her damage, makes everything undispellable, which then makes it very good for PvP as well. For the gear, exactly the same as all of the other characters because it is the easiest one to acquire. On to the last character, and you guys know who he is, Chase in the building. My man's 100 grand, and he is a little bit of a special case on this. He kills himself on his S2. This can easily be counteracted into the early game by getting yourself a priest on the T2 inner peace perk. Another thing that helps is getting his UT2 with a recovery line. Now this may need some reforges here and there, but it allows for maximum survivability. Interestingly enough, you can run 2 tanks and 1 healer, which would then ultimately be a Yuno, Chase, Philip, and Claus. That will give you maximum damage. As for the gear, he only needs attack. He gets crit damage off of his base kit, he gets attack speed off of his base kit, and the only thing you could potentially get is some penetration extra. However, do make sure that you give him at least enough crit rate to get the cap. So for the people who think like, why does this list not include my favorite characters? Syria is better than Kersey and all of the other content. I'm like, it's my list.
You don't understand. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
And to debate it, Syria does defense ignore. Useless as Shockman. Out of my list. Now do keep in mind guys, these are the generalized best characters on all general content. Are these guys specialists? No. Outside of Panzeron, because she's just broken. But this video is to just give you a reference on a person that will then amplify up your account, which can then give you more resources to build your favorite character, which could be totally something else. Alright, that is it for the video. So make sure to like, sub, do whatever. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you like this list, if you feel like I forgot anything on there. But for now, this is Twebby. Peace.